Good morning, good afternoon, welcome. I'm very pleased to be joined by Stefano Cavriani. Stefano is the founder and director at EGO. EGO is a well-known player in the electricity markets. You've obviously been quite active, obviously in Italy for a number of years, and you're speaking at World Hydrogen Renewables Summit, which is taking place in Milan at the beginning of May. So welcome, Stefano.
Hello, thank you very much, Nadine, for your invitation, and good morning or good afternoon to everybody.
Good to see you. So obviously there's been a lot happening in Italy in the power markets. Obviously we've had the pandemic, and that had various impacts. We've had the Conte government and the recovery funds, I guess, coming in specifically for Europe, quite a lot earmarked for Europe. And we're seeing some of that being put to good use in the energy markets. And clearly, we've had the Ukraine war, or the ongoing war, which has had a big impact on Italy as a net importer of energy. So maybe you could sort of give us some of your big picture view of all of these trends and I guess the results of what we're seeing in the markets, particularly over the last sort of 12 months.
Yes, for sure, the pandemic have had the effect to give a strong increase in the attention by everybody about ESG issues, sustainability issues. So this was the first, let's say, significant wave of development of interest about renewable energy generation. But of course, everything happened during the last part of year 21, and of course, much more during year 22, with the energy crisis everybody of us experienced and passed through. Of course, what happened during year 22 strongly gave a boom to renewable energy generation. So the effect that we see now in the Italian market, let me speak only specifically about the Italian market because we are an Italian company active at the moment, specifically only in Italy. What we see in Italy, it is really an incredible situation where the project development activity is very strong, and the interest in investing in renewable generation is so strong that this never happened, neither during the good and generous incentive scheme period 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
What we see now in the Italian market is so the super high request of connection. We are over 300 gigawatts of projects, solar PV, wind onshore, wind offshore. Of course, mainly solar and wind, and by far probably more solar than wind. Yeah. Minor part also for hydro, but solar and wind, of course, are the renewable sources for the future. So 300 gigawatts of new projects. Of course, not every project, of course, will be able to get the permitting and to be really put in place. But the expectation now, it makes sense that it is very good for the future. And the government itself indicated a strong objective of something around 85 gigawatt of new renewable power capability to put in place within 2030. The difficulty, which
big number,
yes, please.
Yeah,
strong numbers, huge numbers. I'm not saying that they are not affordable, absolutely not. The problem that everybody have to deal with, it is the construction of the plant. Let's say no more, in my view, no more the permitting, because there are many simplification in the permitting procedures, but more than permitting, the construction and probably mainly the connection. No? So it's only a matter at this point of physical construction and physical connection, much more than, let's say, political approach, which in Italy totally changed, luckily. And now the attention about renewable is very good. And I would say this is a trend which don't go back, independent from the power prices, which are now lowering. But anyway, the trends really started, and we will go on following this path for the future.
Yeah, certainly. Obviously, I mean, the previous editions of our Italian conferences, there's been endless, discussions around that permitting process, and I think mentioned with Cingolani and some of the simplification of the process. I guess the bottleneck has now moved off off permitting and further up. So to I guess grid connections, and I guess that also comes down to investing in and helping to build the grid, or the future grid, and being able to scale a grid that can really cope with the future demands upon it, namely the rise of obviously electric vehicles and I'm assuming heat pumps as well. I guess a doubling of Italy's grid is probably in line with what most people are looking at over the next couple of decades. In terms of the market, then you're obviously seeing a tremendous increase, I guess, in the participation. I know you obviously advise clients around the PPAs. And in terms of buying electricity, but also helping them manage dispatch. So are you seeing newcomers coming into the electricity market from new sectors in terms of major industries and corporates?
Yes, from the consumer side, more and more, not only energy intensive industries, but generally also medium consumer, for example, are now looking eagerly for PPA. Of course, it's always a matter, first of all, of potential price or hopefully low price that they are looking for. But many times it is also a matter of sustainability. So they want to sign a contract which define the procurement from their point of view of electricity produced by renewable. Also, I don't say only, but also because they want to be sustainable and to demonstrate this. So, for example, also the guarantee of origin market, it is increasing. The prices also for the GO, not necessarily dependent on the energy prices, but also the price for the GO, for example, strongly increased. Also, we have to say, also because a lack of production from hydroelectric, which in Italy is very important, and since already during year 22, was very low due to the drought that we still have also for year 23. So this is for the consumer side. For the producer, for the production side, of course, let me say, probably every or almost every financial investor all around the world is now looking or already is present in the Italian energy market, because Italian energy market, it is from many point of view one of the most attractive in terms of dimension, in terms of potential prices, of course, first of all. So let's say the market is very liquid. What it is happening in the PPA market, which is, of course, the part of this mega trend, which is interesting to us because we are a large energy market player and a large PPA provider. From the PPA point of view, really now, finally, the liquidity is increasing. We were speaking about PPA 3-4 years ago. I remember very well a super interesting event organized by you some years ago, where we were talking about this, and the problem that we were highlighting in that occasion, it was simply that there was still no liquidity. So difficult to put in place really the PPA if you don't have the power plants. But now the power plants are coming to the market, and exactly and evidently now the PPA market it is developing. There are still no, let's say, standard formulas, standard contracts, but the liquidity is increasing. The signing of the contracts is increasing. And I expect that in the next 1-2 years, this part of the market, this segment of the market will be important. I'm not able to say 10%, 20% of the market. I don't know if this will be so strong in short term, but for sure, this will be a part of the
Ciao. Ciao.
Oh, Nadim, sorry, I'm not sure that you have listened to me for some minutes because I realized that the line was off.
Yeah, I got up to the point. No, probably not so much minutes. You were just talking about the new market entrants, and that the market is incredibly buoyant. So I think we can just take it. We can just sort of take it from there. I mean, I guess the next question I could say would be, well, I guess, yeah, some of the key legislation around solar belts and private wire, are they going to help alleviate grid connection? So, yeah, I'll ask you something about that. So Stefano, I mean, the market is clearly buoyant. And are you seeing growth? I mean, there've been mentions of the word solar belt and also private wire as potential ways to get around, I guess, the grid congestion. Can you explain what those two mechanisms are and what those distances involved are?
Yes. Okay, very good questions. Okay, the solar belt, it is very simply the possibility of having the permitting about the construction of the solar PV in a place which is agricultural lands, which is not so easy normally. But if the agricultural lands, it is not so far from an industry, maximum 3 kilometers, apart specific situations related to specific constraint on that agricultural lands, but otherwise your project, let me say very simply, have to be permitted, because it is not far from an industry, so there will be a local consumption, which of course make much sense. So very simply, we can say solar belt, it is the possibility of obtaining the authorization of many projects in places which are not far from the consumers. The private wire solution, let's say differently, it is the possibility of building a solar PV and connect it directly to the consumer. In this case, the maximum admitted distance, it is 10 kilometers, so quite long. Of course, maybe it will make sense many times to be more near. But anyway, if you are in a distance which is maximum 10 kilometers, you can build your solar PV. Of course, you will have to obtain the permitting for that. But at that point, you will be able to construct the plant, to connect, and to use the electricity by the consumer itself. So you don't inject the energy in where the plant is located, but let's say 10 kilometers far in the industry. In that case, what it is important, what it is interesting, it is that on that electricity, the consumer will avoid to pay some tariff cost, specifically transportation and distribution costs, which are significant. So very simply, there will be the opportunity for the power producer to get an extra value over its electricity, more than the simple sale of the electricity on the wholesale market. Let's say there are some other situations which are developing the Italian market, mainly related to what the energy authority call distributed self-consumption, autoconsumo diffuso, which means that you have the opportunity of reduce your tariff cost if you arrange somehow the production on one side, the consumption on another side, but if they are, for example, inside the same primary substation, high voltage, medium voltage. So again, there is a virtual connection, because it is not physical, it is virtual, which makes sense because you really use the energy avoiding the transportation on the long distance. And if you put in place this framework with an energy community, which is a new, let's say, legal structure, which is developing in Italy. In that case, if it is an energy community where the power plants which are involved are renewable and are new and are small size, up to 1 megawatt, in that case, you get a good, you will get, let's say, because the decree still have to be finally approved, because now it is under examination by Brussels, no? Yeah. But when this will be in place, you will be, the energy community, let's say, the energy community will be able to get some money from this. And so this money will be useful for the consumer to get finally a sort of discount on the energy cost, and for the producer to get an extra value, an extra revenue over its energy generation. So let's say many different situations. I would say almost all of them very interesting, with the common objective to stimulate and incentivize much more than in the past, than in the recent past, to stimulate and incentivize the renewable generation for the future for the Italian market.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, a lot there, and a real sense of good investment grade policy, good simplification, lots of opportunities, lots of projects, lots of work, and certainly, huge opportunities to finally start, raising the domestic production of renewables in Italy, and start to really sort of benefit from what is a very good, strong renewable energy profile that the country has. So great to talk to you, Stefano. Great to catch up. Thanks a lot for sharing your thoughts. Obviously, it's going to be a good couple of days in Milan coming up at World Hydrogen Renewables. So we look forward to catching up and listening to all the debates and meeting everyone and seeing what's happening. So many thanks, Stefano.
Thanks to you, Nadim. Very happy to join the event, and I look forward really much to be in Milan beginning of May with you and all the other participants.
Excellent. Cheers. Take care.